Good afternoon to everybody. Sorry we couldn't make the normal shiur this week because we haven't been here, we've been away. But a few words at least for this week. I have written about this Shabbos on Madvar Torah. I think an amazing experience we had just recently in our holiday in Italy. We've been in Pompeii, this ancient town that was destroyed by the Vesus, the volcano mountain, and it covered the whole town with the volcano ashes. And it's like you see that life was frozen in 1 minute. And it's unbelievable to see such an ancient town kept in a way like life stopped. And then a few days later we went to a museum in Napoli. And there in this archaeological museum we saw items that were digged out of the ruins of Pompeii. And I must say, it is more than amazing to see all those vessels and ceramics and mosaics and glassware and all the things. They look like just now they were finished being made. And the quality, the beauty, and you learn about the life they had in this ancient town, and it suddenly gets you. God is showing us His almighty power. This town was so corrupt. They were enjoying life, putting men in the center, and that's exactly when we are nearly on Hanukkah, and we had the war against the Greeks, and Baruch Hashem, God helped us and we won the war. This war was not a physical war, it was a spiritual war. And the Greek culture, which later on the Romans took and adapted to them, and this is really the basics and the basis of the modern culture that we all know, which mean the good life, music, paintings, art, sports, all those things came from Greek. But to learn about what they used to do, but not see it in your own eyes, it's not the same. When you see it in your own eyes, you suddenly realize what life they had and how they put the man in the center and all the other things are less important. And for joy, the emperors and all those who ruled were having special games for the crowd. And the most famous games were the gladiators games, that there were slaves being thrown to the arena to fight against animal and against each other. And on this museum we saw also what they were wearing. They were, by the way, it's very funny to say, they were adored. People adored them. They were like half idols. They were strong people fighting against each other, against lions and other animals. And if I think you won 4 or 5 fights, which is, we must say, almost impossible, you got your freedom. And you were worshipped like an idol. Because power, beauty, was the main basic thing. And in order for us to understand what are we fighting against, we have to see in real life, like this town Pompeii, frozen. You see, they took out bodies of babies, children, men, women, like they were, in 1 minute they just died from the toxic poison of the air, and then the ashes covered them and the lava, and they vanished from the earth for thousands of years. And when they started to discover this when you go in there and you see it with your own eyes, It is unbelievable to see how they lived so many years ago, and the culture they had and the wisdom they had. But all of this was putting the joys of the human being in the center. All the other things are less important. When the Romans came to Israel, when the Greek came to Israel, they thought they're bringing the light. Wherever they came, they brought the light to the world, the light of the modern culture. But when you dig in and you see how they behaved, you realize the corruption and the destruction. And God did this miracle to show us this is like looking at a real thing at real time, to understand why in our parsha is Yaakov Avinu so worried about Atzileni na miyad achi miyad Esav. And there are a lot of explanations. Save me from my brother from Esav. And there are a lot of double meaning in our parsha. When he tells Esav something, the way he deals with Esav, our sages always, when you had to deal with the Goyim, they learned those parashiyot. Especially Vayishlach, how Yaakov deals with Esav. But what was his main concern? What really bothered Yaakov more than everything? God promised you, I'm going to save you, I'm going to keep you, I'm going to bring you back home in one piece. So if God promises you, why are you worried? What are you worried from? If it's from the physical point of view, God promised you, and we saw that Yaakov Avinu is not just another guy. He deals with everybody and every situation, and he finds the way to get out of it, and he wins the game. If it's against Laban, if it's against an angel, he fights the angel of Esav and he wins. So why is he worried about Esav? But he's not worried about Esav as Esav. He's worried about my brother Esav. If Esav will come to me as a brother, I have a problem. And it is this famous story I told you once before about, I think it was Maran Rav Shach Zatzal, that a Talmid Chacham came to him and was asking him, his kid has to go to school, to Talmud Torah. And there are two nearby. One is at very high level. The other one, they just started, it's on a lower level, but the families are much better quality. So you know what Maran Rav Shach has told him? He says, I want to ask you something. When we are being told about Rivka having Yaakov and Esav, is written by Rotzetsua Banim Bekirba. There was a whole thing going on. When she was passing near a shul, near a Beit Midrash, Yaakov Avinu wanted to go out. When they were passing near an idol worshipping place, Esav wanted to go out. So asked the Maran Rav Shach, I want to ask you a question. There is well known the Midrash that says that when a baby is born, before he is born, in the belly of his mommy, during the pregnancy, an angel comes and teaches him the whole Torah. And if this is the case, why Yaakov wants to go out when they go near a Beis Midrash? Is a better teacher, you prefer a human being to teach you Torah than an angel that teaches you Torah? How could it be? Unbelievable. The answer is very simple. If your partner is Esav Arasha, even if an angel teaches you Torah, you go away. Archek mishachen ra. Get as far as you can from a bad neighbor, especially if he is the one who learns with you. So the answer to you is very simple, says Maran Rav Shach Zatzal to this guy. You will send your kid to the school, which is not at a such high level, but in much better families. Be'ezrat Hashem, the level will also increase. And this is what Yaakov Avinu is worried about. He says, I am going to meet my brother Esav. He is all in this world. He's going to hug me. He's going to embarrass me. He's going to embrace me. He's going to want me to go with him. He's going to drag me to the joys of life. And this is my biggest worry. And we see it all around. We see how the corruption is taking us. It's written, Yaf Yafit leyefet vayishkon be'oalei Shem. Yefet is the forefather of Greek. And it's written, Yaf Yafit is got a beautiful way on him. And he's going, Yaf Yafit vayishkon bo Hashem is going to be inside us. Vayishkon, Yaf Yafit bo alei Shem. I don't remember exactly the passage, but that's the understanding. That it's going to dwell inside us. Instead of the Shechina dwelling inside us, Greek is going to dwell inside us. And what does it mean? There is a very small difference, a border between, the Jewish tradition and the Greek tradition. Both Shem and Yefet cover their father, but they did it in a different way. We see that Greek, they were the first democracy. They brought democracy. They brought all those beautiful things of culture that we also enjoy. But the small difference is, we put God in the center. Yes, we are not like the monks or the Christians that say if you want to be holy, you have to leave all those daily things, all the physical world, and live in only a spiritual world. This is not our belief. Our belief is to use the physical world and elevate it in a spiritual way. That's our task in life, and that's why we here. This is Olam HaMaaseh. That's the world of doing, of making this world a better place. Taking all the physical things, all the joys of life, and elevate them. You eat an apple, you're blessed. Baruch atah Hashem. You drink water, you pray. Baruch, you bless. Baruch atah Hashem. You go to sleep, and you enjoy your sleep in order to have power the next day to worship God. You wear good clothes, no problem. Everything. You can have all the best things in the world, but what for? To worship God in a better way. And worshiping God, what does it mean? When we talk in the Zohar about the Shechina is not God. The Shechina is Am Yisrael, Klal Am Yisrael. And that is the idea. We don't put ourselves in the center. Me, the egoistic me in the center. We put God. We put the Shechina in the center. We put Am Yisrael in the center. We put the world in the center. We are here to help others. We are not the center. The general public, the general nation, the general society, that's the center. But the Greek culture is the man is the center. And it's a small difference if you think about it. And how tempting it is. And how terrible and hard is this war against the culture of the Greeks. This is Hanukkah. And this year, I had the privilege to see with my own eyes the way they lived thousands of years ago. The wealth, the richness of their life, the culture, and the corruption. To see thousands and thousands of people in a theater to see slaves killing each other. Is this culture? When you dig in all those shiny things from the outside, you find out the truth. This is why the angel of Esav, when it comes the morning, tells him, let me go. It's morning. Because like you sit in a pub normally, it's got very dim light. It's almost dark there. Why? Because if you will turn on the light and we'll see how your friend looks and he will see how you look after you drink and how dirty the place is, you will go out and understand how terrible and how corrupt the place is. In the dark, you don't see it. And there is so much to talk about it. When God, a few thousand years ago, covered Pompeii with the volcanic ashes and preserved it the way it was then, it was again Sodom and Gomorrah, again being destroyed because of the corruption and the laws that lead people to be corrupt and do all those terrible things. When they put themselves in the center and all the others they didn't care about. As long as I enjoy life, and I will enjoy life and have all the games and all the joy I can get, satisfaction after satisfaction from the physical point of view. So you learn about Sodom and Gomorrah, but you don't realize what it was. But when you see the ruins of Pompeii that God destroyed the same way he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, you see how they lived. You see it with your own eyes. I looked at things in the museum, you couldn't believe it. You see those things, so beautiful. What a beautiful handcraft, what a beautiful art. Paintings, preserved like now they were painted. Mosaics, ciphers. It was really unbelievable. It's God telling me here. It was then and it is now. Nothing had changed. And if you ask me, some of the things people till today don't know how they did it. They didn't have the facilities, the technology that we have. Nothing like it. And still, some of those things look so beautiful and amazing that I don't think that anybody can do them today. All the best. And I hope that we all will learn the lesson and not be tempted to the dark side, but be tempted to the bright side, to the light side of the Torah of Am Yisrael. All the best.